All right, everybody, welcome to the Five Star Show. This is the Royal Rumble recap. Let's go ahead and get everything out of the way at the beginning. I am Five Star Showtime. You know me as Wesley as well. I run the FiveStarShow.com website. Launched today. Everything's going great so far. Lots of visitors checking it out. Mostly WWE is what I'm going to be covering, as well as some sports, some pop culture, gambling. We're going to have an Oscars preview coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll have Super Bowl. We'll have everything. But for this purpose, we're talking about the Royal Rumble that just ended just a few minutes ago. Very exciting show overall. Let's break it down. So to check out the site, it's going to be the FiveStarShow.com. You can find me on Twitter at FiveStarShowtime. Or if you want to follow the show's Twitter account that's mostly ran by me, it is at the Five Star Show. We're going to start off with a pre-show real quick. I know everybody's excited to talk about Rousey. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see the Royal Rumble and you're watching this, first of all, that's a mistake. Second of all, Ronda Rousey's in the WWE. It's big news. We're going to get to it momentarily. The pre-show, I do other stuff other than this. I do have a girlfriend and a daughter, so we went out to dinner. It was fabulous. But I screwed up the timing on the Royal Rumble, so we missed the pre-show. Full disclosure. I didn't watch the Cruiserweights. Probably wouldn't have watched it anyway. As far as the tag match goes, the Revival won. I think that's the right move long term. I'm not sure that's the right move instantly. At some point, you got to do something with Gallows and Anderson other than either just have them hang out with Finn Balor or just have them lose and be a comedy act all the time. I think now would have been a good time for Gallows and Anderson, and then eventually they could lose to Revival for the titles later on. But the Revival is the future, and I understand that. That's the way things are going. They're the hottest tag team that's going to be on WWE. And they just did the job on Raw 25 to DX, so good for them for winning, and we'll see where that goes going forward. As far as the U.S. Championship, the Open Challenge, it apparently was Mojo Rawley that came out. I predicted it would be Dolph Ziggler coming back for his title, so I blew that one. I'm glad to see that Bobby Roode retained the title, though, because a lot of these guys that they win the title, and when it's a mysterious thing like that, where somebody just randomly drops the title and all of a sudden there's a tournament for it, a lot of times that guy will come back or something will happen where that guy will lose the title pretty quickly. So it's good to see Bobby Roode retain that title. Don't know why Mojo was the selection there, but regardless, Bobby Roode got the title. Still going forward, I like to see where that kind of plays out. Maybe Jinder Mahal is in that category. Maybe Mojo, but I just don't have a lot of faith in Mojo going forward as a singles guy. But I think it's a good option for a mid-card title holder, and we'll kind of see where the feuds go out from there. Anyways, on to the main card. Again, this is the Five Star Show, FiveStarShow.com. Royal Rumble main card. So we started off with the WWE Championship match. I didn't like the decision initially. I thought the Women's Rumble should have started the show. However, obviously we know now with Rousey coming in, you're not going to do that at the beginning and just blow the whole show. So you got to start somewhere. Might as well start hot with a title match. None bigger than the WWE Championship, in my opinion. That's why I have the belt. But I liked the match overall. I thought they did a good job of working the Sami and Kevin Owens angle, kind of going in, going out, really working AJ Styles, really kind of putting it on him. I kind of knew that AJ was eventually going to win, but I was very thankful. The number one thing I was happy about was that there wasn't a whole lot of anything from Shane McMahon or Daniel Bryan. This whole storyline, going back the last couple weeks, has really involved Bryan and McMahon too much, in my opinion. That's what Raw's for. That's what Triple H and Stephanie have always done. SmackDown's not supposed to be about that. So it was nice to see that there wasn't any shenanigans in the match from McMahon and Daniel Bryan. It's supposed to be the land of opportunity. They got their opportunity. The missed tag spot where roll up the wrong guy and they're upset, I get that. That's a cool way to kind of extend it. I was hoping that this feud would be over tonight and we would move on to something else, but we still have a little bit of time to go forward the next couple of months. We've got to kill some time to WrestleMania, so if we need to extend this Sami and Kevin thing a little bit, I get that. And hopefully by Fastlane, which is the next SmackDown pay-per-view, we'll have a little different story. I know they're already advertising a Fatal 5-Way. Whoever did that advertising blew it for everybody, but I guess you got to sell tickets somehow, so whatever. We'll get to that point where this kind of does break up. I'm curious to see if it's because Kevin and Sami start fighting and maybe that leads to their WrestleMania match or how this goes about. But the best part about it was no McMahon, no Daniel Bryan, just a relatively clean match. AJ wins, right guy wins, and we'll find out his opponent momentarily here when we get to the Royal Rumble. Next up was the SmackDown Tag Match. Went back-to-back SmackDown. I started to wonder at first if they even knew this was a 2 out of 3 falls match, because the first fall, I mean, there was a lot of wrestling going on before they even got to the first fall. I like that Gable and Benjamin got their wrestling in. I mean, they're obviously great at actual wrestling, but the Usos just have the character. They're way more charismatic. I've never been a big Shelton Benjamin guy. Gable's really talented. He's got some potential going forward. But we got to some nice wrestling spots with Gable and Benjamin. But then we got to a point where, the Usos eventually took over. There was some confusion with Gable, which was a nice spot about which Uso was the legal man, which is always cool when you have twins. Cool spot there. Finally got to the first fall. Right after the first fall, we got to the second one quickly with a quick roll-up. I was a little surprised that Usos swept that 2-0. Usually at a 2 out of 3, you would think it would be, one goes to the Usos, one goes to Gable and Benjamin, and then you have a decider. So a clean sweep leads me to believe that this feud is going to be over. A couple cool spots in the match I enjoyed. The moonsault from Gable and I guess it was a team powerbomb looking thing on the outside. It really looked like Uso hit his... Well, I don't know which Uso it was. I can't keep up with who's who. Still try to figure out which one's Naomi's husband, and we still botch it every time. But one of the Usos hit his head on the floor on the outside pretty hard, and looked like an actual serious move. But those were some of the cool spots that I enjoyed in there. Again, with the mix-up with the twins. That was cool as well for entertainment. But ultimately, right team won here. Gable and Benjamin, while they're great in the ring, don't do a ton charismatic-wise, character-wise. I don't know if you split them up. It might be too early for that, but I really don't know where the Usos go from here. You've got on SmackDown, you've got Breezango, comedy act, Ascension, comedy act, New Day, been there, done that, and now Gable and Benjamin. So I'm curious to see what the Usos are going to do going forward, but the right team won, and it was a clean sweep, so that would lead me to believe that this feud is over. Moving on to the Royal Rumble match. I hated the timing of the match, that it's right in the middle of the show. What that does is that affects the crowd going forward. It's hard to follow up with Raw Tag Team and get really excited about it. After you've already done the Royal Rumble match, which is supposed to be the biggest match of the show. But they put it in the middle, I guess, to kind of balance it out. And the Rumble match itself, I thought, was pretty entertaining. You had Rusev Day start off with Finn Balor. So Rusev's in there, Finn Balor, 1 and 2. That was incredible. Great start. They put on a heck of a show. You had a little comedy with Heath Slater coming in at number 5, and everybody just beat him up on their way to the entrance. Yet he ends up throwing out Sheamus in like 2 seconds, which was hilarious, before eventually being tossed out himself. You had the Ty Dillinger spot where he's going to come in at the perfect 10 again, only to get beat up by Sami and Kevin backstage. Sami enters the Rumble. He's eventually thrown out by Shinsuke Nakamura. Cool things with Bray Wyatt as well, and Woken Matt Hardy. I love how Cole slipped up and called him Broken Matt Hardy. Not quite broken yet. They end up working together before eventually eliminating each other, which was kind of cool. The usual Kofi Kingston spot where he saves himself and ended up landing on pancakes and Xavier Woods before he got in. Apparently the Outside Cat wants to join the show. Hello, Outside Cat. You are not part of the show. Thank you very much. Get out of here. So, have your cats and pets spayed or neutered, as Bob Barker would say. Going on to the Rumble finish, you got the last 4 guys in there. So my prediction for the final 4 was going to be John Cena, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, and who am I forgetting? The Miz. I had The Miz in the final 4. I thought maybe The Miz would get in there late. When he entered it, I believe he was, 26. Had a chance to be in the final 4, and I thought maybe with all of his run as the Intercontinental Champion, they would reward him being in the Final Four. But of course, you got to have Roman Reigns in there. The wishful thinking in me thought maybe Miz would throw out Roman, which would be really cool before you got to the Final Four. Didn't end up being the case, but 3 out of 4, that's a pretty good prediction, especially when you move on to the Women's Rumble later, where I completely blew all of it. But that's okay. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about the men's and how awesome I was getting it right. I thought the last 2 would be Shinsuke and Finn Balor. However, with it being Reigns in there, it was kind of cool to see Reigns and Cena, who have been established in the WWE for a long time, kind of go against Shinsuke and Finn. Then you have Shinsuke versus Finn. Then you have Cena versus Roman. There's a cool bunch of elements in there, and I thought that they worked that really well. All 4 of those guys did a great job. There was a few surprise entrants. Rey Mysterio probably being the biggest surprise. Hurricane, looked like he gained about 100 pounds since the last time he wrestled, but, that's what it is. He wasn't in there long, so it didn't matter. You had Roman Reigns toss out Seth. You had him toss out Miz. So when it got down to the Final Four, you had Cena throw out Finn Balor. You also had Shinsuke then eliminate Cena. And so your final pairing was Shinsuke versus Roman. At that point, you start thinking Roman wins because, this is the chance for Roman to go on and face Brock at Mania. That's been rumored for a long time. It's probably going to happen. The only saving grace was like, well, maybe we can do that at Elimination Chamber where Roman wins it and moves on to face Lesnar. And but the nervous fan in me, the sarcastic fan in me, almost expected Roman to win at this point. Turned out not to be the case. Shinsuke won. I got the pick right. My guy won. And Shinsuke, of course, challenged AJ Styles for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Because challenging Brock Lesnar would be a death wish, and that would be stupid. So, we got Shinsuke versus AJ. Royal Rumble overall was very entertaining. Shinsuke AJ for Mania is going to be a hell of a match. And I know there was a great NXT match last night that was probably going to be match of the year, but Shinsuke and AJ will give them a run for their money. We've got enough time to build to that. As big of a believer in Shinsuke as I am, though, the reality is he doesn't talk very well. Doesn't cut a good promo. And, they had him lose against Jinder Mahal twice last year on the build-up to this. So this is really a sink-or-swim time for Shinsuke. The crowd still loves him enough, but we really need to build Shinsuke going forward. Obviously, the match is going to be great, but if you have the build behind it, it'll be even better. I hope WWE just doesn't roll the ball out there and say we don't have to build it because the match will sell itself. While that is the case, a great build will definitely help. So Shinsuke wins the Royal Rumble. Right guy, right choice, I think. And we'll see how that goes up until WrestleMania. After that, we did the Raw Tag Match. Full disclosure, I was wrestling out for a little bit, and we decided to watch the Grammys for a little bit. I'm over the bar, and I'm over Rollins and Jordan already. Jason Jordan makes me want to punch a baby. Rollins just isn't... He's great on his own. I just don't love him as a tag unless he's part of S.H.I.E.L.D. In the bar, we've seen this. It was great when it first started off a year or so ago. This match has become kind of stale to me. The bar did win, though, which surprised me. I thought that it would be Rollins and Jordan winning this. But Sheamus and Cesaro picked up the win. Hopefully next up for them is a fresh face. Maybe we split up Rollins and Jordan. Maybe they get pissed at each other. I really hope that somebody, whether it's Revival, whether it's the returning Hardys, something happens, because I can't take any more Rollins and Jordan versus Sheamus and Cesaro. We've seen their singles matches every Monday Night Raw. We've seen their tag matches every pay-per-view. They put on a great show. It's nothing against them. They do a great job. They're great in the ring. We just need to switch it up a little bit. So I didn't pay full attention to that match. I'm sure it was great because they always put on a great match, but I've seen it 100 times. It's cool. Moving on, we got the triple threat match. So we kind of knew how this was going to go, right? I mean, the whole reason Kane was there is to take the F5 and take the pin, and Braun can still look good. I thought we did a good job with the match overall. I was entertained by it. The crowd, I don't know if they were just worn out, if they were Exhausted. I mean, that's a long show, and they already kind of saw what they wanted with Nakamura winning. But crowd wasn't into it at all. And I mean, they did their best to destroy everything. Now, this kind of is hypocritical for what I just said with the Raw tag, but we've seen this before. We see Braun and we see Lesnar and now Kane destroying everything, and whether it's a table, an announce table, German, Spanish, English, it doesn't matter. It all gets destroyed. That said, I will never get tired of seeing Braun Strowman or Brock Lesnar destroy anything. They could pick up the tables and destroy them every single time. It doesn't bother me one bit. Big dudes wrecking shit does not bother me at all, and I'm very happy to see it. Apparently, I'm in the minority on that because some people felt like it was played out. I was kind of keeping up with socials saying it's the same thing that we've seen over and over. Ultimately, though, we got to the end result, which is what we expected. But before we got there was a couple stiff shots, and I hate to be fooled. I hate to say that looked real or that looked, like that wasn't part of the deal. But the knee that Braun landed on Brock Lesnar's ear, if you notice right after that, Lesnar was pissed and he dog cussed Braun Strowman. And then he threw a right hand that wasn't full force, but it was force enough to let Braun Strowman know that he might have just fucked up with that knee. And I thought that was very entertaining. They kept replaying it. I thought they may try to shy away from that, but they actually kept replaying it. So maybe that was part of the show, but it threw me off a little bit to make it seem like it looked legit. What do we write down here? Some of the notes. It's been a long show. Strowman went to Suplex City. Took about 3 of them, I believe, in a row from Brock, but then basically no-sold it and got right back up and power slamming through a table, which I thought was cool. No-selling is cool in some cases, especially when it's big dudes, and obviously this is a big behemoth match. The most hilarious thing to me, and Michael Cole even covered it up a little bit, they got the table propped in the corner, and Braun Strowman is leaning near it, and Kane just barely shoves him, and Braun goes through the table. Just goes right through the table, and even Cole was like, I think Braun may have just thrown himself into the table, knowing it was coming. It was a terrible botch. I don't know if they were just all gassed or what, but go back and rewatch it if you missed it. Kane just barely half shoved Braun, and Braun just kind of forced himself into the corner table for a little comedy segment there. Then we kill all the announce tables. Lesnar does the F5 through the German table. Strowman got buried by a table. I think that was the English announce table. Then Brock reversed a Kane chokeslam and turned it into a F5 and put Kane through what I believe was the Spanish announce table. So, of course, all the announce tables die. The one logic thing, of course, WWE logic, Braun does double power slams to Brock in the ring, yet doesn't want to pin him. He power slam one, didn't pin. Power slam again, didn't pin. Apparently he just wanted to keep punishing Brock, but what that did was leave the door open for Kane to interfere. Kane gets Braun out of the way. Braun, once he's out of the picture, it's just down to Kane. Kane does the throat slash, means he's going to kill Brock, which we all know means Brock's going to end up doing the F5 to Kane and the F5 to Braun on the chair. 1, 2, 3, Brock Lesnar is still and forever will be your Universal Champion, at least until we get to Mania when Roman wins, LOL. But thought it was an okay match overall. Again, I like big dudes breaking stuff. Maybe other people are tired of it. Maybe people are just tired of Lesnar winning. It is time to put the title on Braun. There's rumors that Braun and Miz are going to battle over the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. I don't love that at all. If you think 1 second that Miz has a realistic shot against Braun Strowman, you're crazy. But we'll see how that goes. Maybe they don't go down that route. There's been changes to WrestleMania plans before. See Daniel Bryan in the past. So we'll see how that goes. But hopefully Braun is still in the main event picture. At least he didn't take the pin clean. And he was kind of out of the picture tonight when the pin happened. Stared down Brock at the end. So that would lead me to believe that Brock and Braun will still have some sort of something going on, maybe at the Elimination Chamber next month. We'll see where that goes. Moving on. Women's Royal Rumble time. So let's go ahead. We kind of buried the lead here. This is historic, which means take a shot. Stephanie's on commentary. Maria Menounos, or whatever her name is, she's on the announcing. Again, unofficially brought to you by Crown Royal XO. If you want to sponsor the show, get in now while it's cheap before the site blows up and I start charging triple. So go ahead and get in now. Anybody want to sponsor, contact 5starshowtime@gmail.com. Anyways, Women's Royal Rumble. Historic, we get it. We start off with Sasha and Becky, which I thought was a great start. For the record, let's just go ahead and remind you of my failure on this one. I had the women's final four being Asuka, Becky Lynch, Nia Jax, and Bayley. I got one of those four right. Becky Lynch is my favorite women's superstar. I love her. I think she's completely undervalued. I mean, she had to do the fucking Marine 6 for crying out loud. Nobody watches those movies. They haven't watched any Marine movies since the first one, I think, that runs on USA or TNT or whatever all day long. So she does Marine 6. And she comes back. She was the first ever SmackDown Women's Champion. She's one of the first two in here. I need to show her some more love. That is a little personal. She is my favorite, but she's also very undervalued. And I thought she'd be in the Final Four. She was part of the first two, which I guess, again, is historic. But she didn't make it to the end. Surprises right off the bat. Number 5 entry was Lita. Lita comes in. I didn't think she looked great coming in. I thought she was a little stiff, but then she kind of warmed up and got back into it. Did the moonsault off the top rope. Eliminated a couple people. I believe Mandy Rose was the first person she eliminated. And overall, as she got warmed up, she looked good. Obviously, you would like to see Lita and Trish have some interaction. We'll get to Trish later. But that didn't happen because my girl Becky Lynch eliminated Lita. So my crush now eliminated my crush from my teenage years. That was kind of cool for me personally. And thought it was a cool touch as well. Who are some of the older stars that came in? Tori Wilson came in at number 9. Full disclosure, Mrs. Showtime is running the camcorder right now, but Tori Wilson can still get it. Looks very great for her age, whatever her age is, looks very good. I was chatting with my buddy Jeremy, who will be on this show at some point in the future, and we both agreed that she's still a winner. Lana came in, got her butt kicked, which is what we all like to see. Molly Holly was in there, did a couple moves, kind of cool to see her. Vicky Guerrero. So let's go ahead and get to Vicky Guerrero. As much as we need a comedy spot for the Royal Rumble, I know we always do. I've been dealing with extreme migraines all week, and her on the microphone about canceled this podcast and video show here. It was atrocious. I know that's her shtick. I know that's what she does. But I was glad to see her get out of there pretty quickly because her on the microphone was killing me. Carmella, she got in there. She's all right. I don't understand why she doesn't get as much crowd reaction. Maybe just people just are indifferent to her. You would think that she could generate some heat with the way that she acts. But her always carrying around the briefcase, she's eventually going to have to cash in at some point. But she's just dead. I mean, she comes out there and the crowd's just like, meh, just not care to see her. And then she is pretty botchamania out there. I mean, there's just 3 or 4 moves, and it's a Rumble match, so there's always like confusion and chaos, especially when it's the first ever one. The men's always has chaos and stuff. Who's supposed to eliminate who's supposed to do what move. For all this stuff to be determined in advance, having 30 people out there, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But Carmella, you noticed a couple of times where she just wasn't in sync with the rest of them. They did the Naomi spot where she was thrown out, kind of walked around the border, got onto the chair, up the steps. A for effort, only immediately to be thrown out by Nia Jax. Michelle McCool was in there. Kelly was in there. Jacqueline was in there. Then came the hardest part of the story. Hardest part of the show. Let me go ahead and take a drink for this. Becky Lynch got eliminated. And she got eliminated right in the 20s range. And she was eliminated by Ruby Riott. I like Ruby Riott, but I hate that my girl got eliminated. That was my pick, so totally ruined that there. Ember Moon coming out was really cool at number 23. Beth Phoenix, that was really cool. Her and Natty were in there at the same time. Obviously, they're best friends. They look alike. They train together. They've been together forever. And so it was kind of cool when Natty was like, hey, sorry, every woman for themselves. And Natty just tossed Beth right out of the ring. Number 25 was Asuka. We were really wondering where Asuka was going to enter. A lot of people thought maybe 29 or 30. She comes in at 25. Um, right after that, Mickie James comes in. Doesn't end up really being a big deal until number 30 enters. Nikki and Brie came 27-28. Great to see Brie Bella back in the ring. Yes, I do watch the Diva show with the missus. I'm into it just as much as she is. I can't say that I watch it just because of her. I actually like the show. And Brie has really been wanting to get back into the ring. So great to see her in there. Number 29 was Bayley. Bayley got the 29 spot, yet somehow couldn't make it to the final four. I don't know what the deal is with Bayley. I guess the ship has sailed. You think she would be really popular because kids like her, but she just sucks now. And I don't understand what happened, if WWE is just completely giving up on her or not. But Bayley just was there. Number 30, Trish Stratus. So this was the spot where we all thought Ronda Rousey's going to come out. Instead, it's Trish, which is a pleasant surprise. Trish comes in there, has a stare down with Mickie James, which then that actually did get a crowd reaction, which was kind of nice for Mickie James. A lot of times she comes into deadness, but when you had Mickie and Trish in there at the same time, reliving that old history was really cool. And Trish eliminates Mickie, kind of fittingly. So you start kind of getting down toward the end. The final four there. I know it was Asuka, Brie, Nikki, and Sasha Banks, I believe, was the last one who came in at number one. Sasha gets eliminated by the Bellas. And then it's Nikki and Brie against Asuka. Okay? All you have to do is team up and get rid of Asuka. But Nikki, of course, can't control herself. She eliminates Brie. I mean, yeah, that's really smart strategy. Eliminate your sister to leave yourself one-on-one with Asuka. Great job, Nikki. Nikki's not the brains of the operation. They do a cool couple spots on the edge. They kind of walk the tightrope on the apron. Nikki kicks Asuka. Asuka kicks Nikki. Eventually, Asuka kicks Nikki off. Asuka is your champion. So now it's time for Asuka to declare who she wants to face at WrestleMania. My assumption at this point would be that she would pick Alexa Bliss. She's on Raw. Alexa, obviously, the Raw Women's Champion. And you have Alexa and you have Asuka for the title at WrestleMania. And since we didn't have a Ronda Rousey sighting to this point, maybe you could somehow build up Rousey to Charlotte Flair, which is the money match for WrestleMania, at a later date. Well, it turns out that later date was about 5 minutes later because the music hit. Great overall setup. Bad Reputation was the song, which was awesome choice. Ronda Rousey comes out in the Rowdy Roddy Piper gear, which is her guy. That's why she's Ronda Rousey. Comes out in the Roddy Piper gear. Place blows up. I mean, I was jumping and screaming on the couch. Incredible. Ronda, she tried to come out with the mean scowl and the tough looking, I'm going to kick your ass face, but she's genuinely excited to be there. I mean, happy as could be, and couldn't really hold that back. And so once she knew she couldn't hold it back, she just smiled. And she didn't have to be part of the Rumble, which was cool. That's a good way to protect her and Asuka. You don't want to have her come in the Royal Rumble and just beat all the women and win it. But you definitely don't want to have her come in the Rumble and lose. So great way to kind of have her appear after the Rumble. She comes in, she looks at everybody, focuses most of her attention towards Charlotte, and then sticks out the hand for Asuka. Asuka slaps it. Ronda kind of gives her the nod, points at the WrestleMania sign, and smiles. I would believe, I mean, with any common sense at all, that Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte at WrestleMania is the match. And then you have Asuka versus Alexa Bliss, and Asuka takes the Raw title at that point. Both matches will be great, but I mean, Ronda versus Charlotte is the money match that could headline the show, which would make me super happy because you'd have to move down Brock and Roman, and that would be incredible. So Ronda coming out, I loved it how they did it, and like I say, I was hoping the Women's Rumble would be first, but with Rousey coming in, had to be last, and they closed the show great. Overall, I thought this show, if you want to rate it out of 10, I thought it was a 7 or an 8. I mean, I was entertained by most of the whole show. Men's Rumble was good. Women's Rumble, was a little hit and miss sometimes, but it's their first ever Rumble. You're going to have some odd spots. A couple things I didn't like about the Women's Rumble was seemed like a lot of the superstars were hanging out on the outside a lot, just kind of laying around. Usually you have them laying in the ring, kind of out of the way, or just throwing little punches at each other in the corners to kind of kill time. These girls were completely out of the ring, period. Didn't even know who was still in the match at different points. I mean, me and a girl were talking, and we're like, is she still in it? Is she in it? Who's eliminated? Who's what? I think they need to get them more back in the ring. But overall, I mean, don't like to nitpick too much. I thought it was a pretty good show, and very happy with it. And now we've got a lot to talk about going forward. Where does Rousey fit in? Does she show up on SmackDown on Tuesday? Does she show up at the Fastlane pay-per-view? What does she do? Does she just pop into WrestleMania? Surely there's going to be some build-in or build-up to what happens there with Rousey, because she didn't really say anything. She just kind of smiled and pointed at WrestleMania. Well, we got to get there somehow. So it would be great to see Rousey pop up on SmackDown Live. I don't think they'll do it instantly. I think, in fact, it would be smart of WWE to get a ratings increase for SmackDown Live in anticipation of Rousey being there this week, only to have her not be there, so that you get the ratings boost for us thinking she's going to be there, and then maybe she show up next week and you get that ratings boost there as well. That would be smart for them, especially as they're trying to get a new TV partner announced later this year. So anyways, that's going to be it. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them to me at 5-Star Showtime on Twitter, at the 5-Star Show on Twitter if you want to get the page. Check out the website, the5starshow.com. It's not complete. It's just version 1.0, but we got stories on there about my entrant prediction, which I haven't officially gone back and matched it up, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty terrible. We've got XFL news on there. Everything where we broke down the Royal Rumble, where we got it right, where we got it wrong. And of course, this will be up on YouTube at the 5-Star Show as well. Check it out. If you want to be part of the mailbag, you can do 5-Star Showtime at gmail.com. And that's me, the 5-Star Show, 5-Star Showtime. That was the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the Royal Rumble. Have a good night, everybody.